And I think if you're serious about the issues we're talking about, I think the only sane thing for people to do that truly care is to get off Twitter and talk about public policy. Just one more thing. If I could go back in time for Gamergate and do something different, I would have deleted my damn account, and I would have taken that moment where Intel was putting up $100 million to help women in tech initiatives. And I would have spent all that effort behind the damn scenes trying to get game companies to commit to getting over this hiring bias that they do have in the game industry. That would have been 1,000,000,000,000 times more constructive. It would have led to actual changes in the game industry. And now as we find the labor conditions in the game industry are an S show, no matter if you're male, female, whatever, like it would have helped set a standard that would benefit everyone today. I got caught up in something that was, I understand why I did it, but it was not productive. And this is what I'm trying to tell people. We've got to focus more on policy and less at screaming at each other.
I agree with the screaming at each other, but I disagree only somewhat on policy. I think culture matters more than anything. Politics,
of course it does.
Politics being downstream from that.
Sure.
And so when it comes to issues of the internet, you do have, there are grifters. Grifters exist. They exist to generate attention, and they put out things that are fundamentally false or mischaracterizations with the intention of generating traffic, making money. It's not just politics, though, right? So I talked about Nikocado Avocado yesterday. Are you all familiar with him?
I apologize.
Nikocado Avocado was a thin man 6 years ago who was doing what's called mukbang.
Oh, the fat video you tweeted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a video that was tweeted out by an account called Clown World showing a thin man and woman and then a fat man and woman. For clarification, the woman is not the same person. Right. She's a cyclist. She's fit and exercise and all that stuff. But this is a similar phenomenon that people embrace something that generates revenue and traffic.
Yeah.
And then they keep exacerbating it and getting crazier and crazier with it until you have a guy who is morbidly obese riding around on a mobility scooter, but using that to generate revenue. So after there were serious concerns about this dude's well-being, because he started gaining massive amounts of weight, there was like a conversation saying, you need to stop doing this.
Right.
Instead, he's put out videos of him riding a mobility scooter and smashing his chin and embracing the morbid obesity because it generates, my presumption is, he is playing into the role that gets him traffic, the shock content. His videos went from hundreds of thousands as a thin man eating food to millions now as too morbidly obese. And I got to tell you, man, you look at the comments on his latest video, there was that woman. She's grunting and making noises as she stirs noodles. And I'm like, this is not content where it's like a food taste test.
Right.
This is not Gordon Ramsay saying like, I really like the salting. This is some kind of like a fetishist content where they want to hear the man and the woman grunt and groan while they eat food. And then they embrace the vice, I suppose. That's just, I don't want to just go too much into that, but my point is that happens in every genre, you name it. Every space, be it gaming, movies, food, cards, politics, people are constantly looking for the next thing that will get them more traffic to embrace, to push, and to become.
Yeah. So two things here. I think something you and I have in common, I hope this is okay to say. I've seen clips of you where you were heavier. I've certainly faced the same thing. I put on, when I was running for office, 120 pounds. That was very difficult to take off, right? So I think it's fair. I think there's a way to talk about issues like weight gain with love and compassion, because I do think it's the best way to live your best life. You want to be healthy. That said, if someone's destroying themselves, that is, I'm just libertarian enough to believe that is a choice they can make. What I am far more worried about is I think there's a huge cottage industry that has exploded since Gamergate on all sides. I think it's primarily on the right, but we certainly have actors on the left that do this. They essentially produce political pornography. And what I mean by this is they aim directly at their readers' basest instincts, and they tell them exactly what they want to hear. And it's very often couched in the politics of just destroying people, treating your enemy as inhuman. And I think this really deeply harms our country.
I don't think it's unique to any one side. I think the industry exists on the left and the right. And I think people on the right would say it's the left doing this every day. And people on the left would say it's a problem of the right, when in reality, as CGP Grey described it. He had a video, I don't know if you've seen it, called this. What is it called? This video will make you angry or something, where he explains that no one in these spaces are talking to each other.
Yeah.
They're talking within their group about the other.
Right.
Which means the only thing you're likely going to hear is the worst thing that your rival faction has done, or your rival tribe, and there's very little conversation about the good things or the merits of what they're describing.
Don't you think you've played a role in that, though?
In what way?
Well, Tim, I haven't watched every video you've ever put out, but I watched a fair sampling of your last week. I could not find one credible example of you saying something nice about the left. I think your guests, generally speaking, tilt far to the right. You have you're doing an event soon with Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's your right, but I think my message respectfully to you is I think you've played a role in this culture war. And I think it's bad.
No question.
I think it's very bad for our country.
So how do we get Cenk Uygur to come on the show?
Just call him.
He doesn't. He said no.
Did he really?
Yeah, and not only that, but he lied about me, insulted me, and so did Anna. And so we're talking with Anna because she's welcome here.
Sure.
Kyle Kalinske is a cool dude, and he's actually I've talked to him for quite a bit about this stuff. I'm actually a big fan, and he said, "Yeah, we'll figure it out." I'm not going to drag anybody for having a show and not canceling their show to come on my show. That's ridiculous.
Sure.
So for Cenk, Kyle, Hassan Piker agreed to come on at one point. DM'd me. This was during COVID, and said, "I just don't think I can travel because there's concerns of COVID." I said, "Totally fair," and later went on to say that he won't do my show.
Yeah.
Then Sam Cedar, of course, is the best example of duplicitousness. And I think Majority Report is the epitome of what you've described. That is not to say that no one on the right does anything similar, but I view the Majority Report as like political WWE.
There we go. My favorite show, Majority Report.
Yeah, I think their whole game, their mission is exactly as you described, to take things out of context, manipulate them, to satiate their viewers' basest instincts or whatever. So, a couple examples is I was critical of David Pakman and then apologized for this because I said, wow, he's got so many videos about Trump. And then I was like, oh, I mean, we do too, right?
Sure.
We should reflect on that. We're both talking about high-level politics. I can respect that. I've known David for a decade, or longer than that. You look at Sam Cedar and his Majority Report, their videos are all about people. It's about Dave Rubin. It's about me. It's not about high-level politics or policy. It is the basis of social conflict and complaints. The example that I often give, which exemplifies this, is we put out a song, totally apolitical song, hit the Billboard charts, did really well. Carter actually over here produced it. And when they played it on their show, they played it in such a way. I don't understand.
I don't agree with what you're about to say, but please proceed.
Right. So I
don't agree.
If you listen to it, they played it in such a way that the quality was dramatically reduced. And then they said it sounded like Nickelback. Two things. Yes, sure. If you played it low quality and say it sounds bad, but the song's actually masterfully done. They say it sounds like Nickelback. Well, that's nonsense. The genre of the song we produce is closer to emo,
sure,
and not modern rock. They're saying things with the goal of riling up their base to generate revenue.
Okay. So first of all, I have been a majority, like Sam's my dude. I have watched Majority Report since the Bush administration. He kept me sane. I was living in Mississippi during the Bush administration, and the only voice saying anything sane about the Iraq War, which you agreed with back then, I do believe.
The Iraq War? Agreed.
With not supporting the Bush administration being terrible.
I'm still opposed to most intervention.
I'm so horrified by that. Was Sam Cedar and frankly Cenk Uygur, right? So what I think you get wrong about Majority Report is they do roughly a 2.5 hour show every single day. The first hour of it, it is bringing in experts on inflation and housing and professors.
I know that. And I agree with that.
It is honestly the smartest hour of any show that exists. Like, this is why I subscribe. I'm very proud to help support the show financially. I agree that the fun half is it's
it's the epitome of what you've described as what's
I
choking
don't
us out.
think it always is. I think it's sketches with comedians. I think they bring on people like Digby, Heather Pardon, who you should definitely invite on the show, Andy Kimmler. I do think they go after Dave Rubin, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not above enjoying the segments, and I have laughed my ass off when they've gone after you. But I think that it is. I think it is done in a smart way, and I think I don't think it's political pornography.
What